after Will died,
Yes.
and you came to visit me, and you, and you said, can I go take a look in the basement and see what's there? And I said, sure. I mean, I wasn't in a mood to discuss anything or anything like that.
Mhm.
And you went downstairs and you cleaned it out.
I did?
Yep, you did. You took a whole bunch of things.
There was some things. I got a coffee pot, as I remember.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. And well, I didn't really know what they were, but then when Harriet came and she looked downstairs, she said, "What happened to all this stuff?" So I said, "Jeff came and he took it." She said, "Okay." She was a little disappointed.
Yeah. Okay.
In fact, she was angry.
Yeah, she was angry about it. Well, what was it that she was hoping that maybe
What?
was it something that she wanted?
All the electronic stuff. The stuff that had to do with I don't know what it was. I don't know what electronic stuff is.
Yeah. You mean the stereo
Stuff that she
equipment?
was- Yeah, I think
That
she
wasn't
said-
in the basement. That was in the back room.
Touch base in there. please.
No, it was downstairs in the basement.
Don't give it to Mama.
No.
And then there's
There was nothing
I don't know
nothing
what it
electronic
was.
in the basement. There was some
She's still mad at you for
Right,
that.
and then there's
Yeah.
funny stuff in there.
Okay.
Okay. That wasn't really the type of story I was hoping for.
Oh. What were you hoping for?
I was hoping for some story that related to the family or something that
Any stories related to the family?
yes, something like that.
maybe.
Because I don't think, but that's not actually, as I recall it. I do remember going down to the basement and taking a vacuum coffee pot with some orange plastic on it.
They're full force, teaching her.
And-
That I gave you from up here. You want-
Well, no, that was in the basement. That was from downstairs. There was a closet downstairs. And what I saw downstairs were a pile of sailing magazines
Right.
and
She's like encouraging
Um,
her daughter to train.
and there were things in this back office. Back here was the tuner and the preamplifier from the stereo and amplifiers, and there were some sextants, maybe, which I think we left. There were some
Sextant?
navigational for boat
The
navigation.
navigational stuff I gave to some people from Staten Island.
Okay,
They were starting a sailing school.
right,
And I saw an advertisement in the.
right.
And I called them and they came and they were so happy. They gave me a plaque with Daddy's picture and my picture on
And
it.
now you're allowed to make fires. on
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, but I certainly, I mean, as I recall, I had brought a system here. It was a Bang & Olufsen system, and we set it up. I don't know if you got to use it very much.
Yeah,
But that was here.
Bruce finished it. He put in the.
We had some problems with wiring it, I remember, wiring the speakers. Right, because of the way the wires were routed or something like that. But eventually it worked. It worked up until the point where some water came down from upstairs,
Yep, ruined a lot of stuff.
and it ruined the receiver, and I wasn't able to I mean, I still have it, but I haven't been able to do anything with it. And that was, and I think at that time you gave me the tuner and the amplifiers that were there. They were in this room, and you were cleaning out this room at that point. So they weren't in the basement. And, as far as what Harriet would be upset about, I mean, if there's anything that she wants that I still have, she's welcome to it.
I don't know what it is.
I don't think that's,
Anyway, what did you want me to tell you about?
well, I wanted to hear, I don't know, you've had some great stories to tell as far as,
I told you a lot of them before.
we did it over Skype.
Party.
That was it?
Yeah.
You don't have any more? I thought you had more material.
About what? I mean, tell me what
Well-
I told you.
Well, that was mostly about me.
Yeah, that was mostly about her. But, well,
You want
I don't
to-
know. We should pick a topic, shouldn't we?
Yes, that's
Yeah.
much more effective.
How about Fairchild Publications?
Yeah, that was.
Fairchild Publications?
Yeah.
What's
But when I worked there,
okay?
Yeah.
oh yeah, when I went to get that job, or would you rather have me tell you how I got my first job?
Okay. Start there.
Yeah. I I majored in economics, and as part of economics, there was a course which I hated, with the word go, called statistics. And the statistic wasn't too bad. I mean, I had to do all kinds of stuff that were useful. But along with the statistics, I had to take money and banking, given by the man who wrote the book, which was our textbook. Well, the most boring thing in the world. It was so boring, and the teacher was even more boring. Oh, it was awful. And I don't think I really learned anything about money and banking, or money or banking. So it was terrible. Total waste, except for it was on my college records that I had taken a course in statistics. So I graduated in February, I think, and yeah, just a few months before Pearl was born. Was that right?
Maybe the month I was born. I was born February 23rd. Maybe it was at the beginning of the month.
February 23rd.
Right.
And I graduated February 1st of that year. So then, so I used to, when Pearl was about 6 months old, I was going to school then, that's right. I used to read Pearl my texts and my stuff while I was feeding her. She was sitting right over there in a high chair.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to feed her and also talk to her. And what I talked to her about was my homework and all that stuff. So, and she liked it. She giggled at the right times and so on and so forth. But, and then, when I graduated, which was 4 years later, or 3.5 years later, I forget what. I didn't have a job like all the other graduates at that time. We used to go line up at Macy's to get all kinds of jobs, and there were no jobs to be had, not even for packing things or packaging things and stuff. But what they did have in Macy's was in their food department on the ground floor. They had a wonderful food thing. So we used to have our lunch there because they always had free things to give out and taste and so on. So that's the way we ate our lunch. And that was very handy because it didn't cost anything. And anyway, the college called me in about a month after I graduated, and they said, we're looking through our records and we find that you took statistics, and there's an offer for a job if you would like to try out for it. Well, I said, oh, wonderful, would I like to try out for it. So they asked me to go to a certain place in, well, I had to go downtown to some place in Brooklyn. And that's all. They just told me to be there at a certain time. So I went there, and the first thing that they asked me was, can you type? So I said, I lied a lot in those days because I said yes to everything, or I never said no for anything. Can you do this? Yes. Can you do that? Yes. So they asked me if I could type, and I said, oh yes. So luckily they left me alone, and they brought in this typewriter, which had a long carriage, because they wanted me to type, or to see if I could type statistical tables, And I didn't realize that you could adjust the machine for the columns and all that stuff. In the back, they had things in the back that you could set. I didn't know about that, because I didn't really know how to type anyway. And I had to do a few experiments before I realized which, and they wanted copies. I think they wanted 12 copies of each thing. So I had to figure out how to use the what do you call that paper?
Carbon paper.
Carbon
Oh.
paper the right way, because my first couple of attempts got me the wrong way stuff, and I threw those away so nobody should find them. And anyway, so I finally put the stuff in, and I had to type out a table of stuff and put it in the right sort of column, follow the columns and all the spaces. And since I didn't know that there were adjustment things on the back of the machine, I did it by eye and finger. You know, I tapped the little thing that you do. And so and they didn't care how long I took. Nobody was in the room with me, so I could make my own mistakes privately, which I did. And I finally gave them the material that they wanted. And they said, okay, you've got the job. So it seemed that they needed a statistical clerk, and they hadn't given the examination yet, the city examination. It wasn't coming up until the following December, and they had this job. They were setting up health, what do they call them? Health units, I think, or a place where they'd have it was manned by a station, a health station, and it was manned by a physician and a statistical clerk and a regular clerk, a secretary. And so I was and the lady that I worked for, Dr. Anna E. Ray Robinson, she was so wonderful. She treated me very well, and she wasn't too upset about whether I could use the typewriter this way or that way. So, and she was the kind of woman who, she got up in the middle of the trolley cars that we rode in, this is before buses, and if she saw anybody who looked like a mother, she got up in the middle of the bus and she started talking about how important it was to have injections and to inject your child and vaccinate your child and all that. She made a big long speech, and of course they were prisoners in the bus, so or in the trolley car, whatever it was. And so she tried to get people to come to her health station, and that's how she drummed up business. And she also, we had lunch together every day. We went out and I had something with cream cheese. It always had to be cream cheese. And she had always the same thing, apple pie and ice cream. And she was a chubby little lady, you know. And I used to, and she said to me, that's a perfect lunch, because the apple pie has all the vitamins C, and the ice cream has all the stuff that
Protein?
Calcium,
Oh, calcium.
all that stuff. You need that, and the vitamin C. That's fine. Got everything you need. She said it's a very healthy lunch, and that's what she had every single day: apple pie and ice cream. And that was my first job. And I worked until they had to take an examination, and I didn't bother taking the examination because I was not particularly interested in being, you know, I couldn't guarantee that I would come to the top of the list or be the first to get the job or anything like that. So I went on my way. And then I got an offer from the American Health Association to do statistical work. And that was when I had to use the latest machine at that time, where you punched in numbers and then you pulled a lever to get everything lined up into whatever you were researching. And that's the kind of job I had for a while until that June. And then I didn't have a job. So I took a little vacation. I went up to my mother's very good friends who became school teachers early on in their lives, and so they, and even when they got to be about 45 or so, when it was a little too late to get married, they lifted the laws so that women who were teachers, who were not permitted to be married as teachers, but now they could, it was free. Anybody who became a teacher could be married anytime. I mean, she didn't have to be not married. So, and my mother wanted so much to go to normal school at that time. That's all you needed, just 6 months to go to normal school. And her father said, "Oh no, you won't go to normal school. You'll have to go study bookkeeping and learn to be a bookkeeper, and then you'll earn some money." So she did just that, and she studied for 6 months, and then she got a job as a bookkeeper. She earned $5 a week, and that was a lot of money then. That was when ice cream cones were only 5 cents a piece. And if you shared with your brother or something, you know, or somebody who always wanted to share what you had, you like her younger brother. So she had to share with Uncle Dad. Anyway, so I had a little vacation at my mother's friend's house. The Coasofs were their name, 2 former teachers. And that was a very nice little vacation. And then I came home and started looking for work. And I looked in the newspaper advertisements, and there was a job that I thought I would like to have, and that was from Fairchild's. And so they wanted a statistical, not a clerk, but a statistical secretary, and someone who could write. So I said, "Oh, that sounds very nice." And so I answered I sent them a letter, of course extolling all my virtues, and then they answered me, and I had to go for an interview. And again, that gave me a chance to blow up what I thought I could do. And he said, "Can you take dictation?" So I said, "Of course I can take dictation. Try me." He said, "Well, where's your notebook and all that stuff?" I said, "Oh, I just write very fast, and you can dictate to me while I'm sitting at the typewriter." Because by then I was pretty adept at the typewriter. So he said, "Oh, all right." And he said, "Can you write?" I said, "Don't you see I can write?" You know. Anyway, they took the joke in good humor, and they hired me, and that was a very nice experience. Because that's where I worked until I was married, and then after I was married too.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's where I made some very, very good friends. Really very good friends.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Okay.
And that's it.
All right. All right.
That's my
good.
work history.
Yeah. All righty. Well,
So?
I'm gonna pause.